M-I-Z. I knew that would work. I'd ask if everybody could please find their seat. I'm Gary Myers, Dean of the Law School, and I'm the guy that stands between you and your dinner. So I'd like to begin our events this evening. This is Law Day 2015, and I'm always pleased to come to this time in the academic year. This is an opportunity for us to recognize and acknowledge alumni, supporters, friends, students, and faculty members of the University of Missouri School of Law. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about our agenda for this evening. And first of all, I will say that one of my favorite parts of Law Day is I think of it as Bob Bailey wears a suit day. And true to form, he's followed through, and I'm always very happy to see him because he looks quite dapper in a suit. So very, very glad that he's here, and he'll be a big part of the ceremonies tonight. Now, let me just say that I want to tell you how we're going to do this, and I was serious about me standing between you and dinner because we're going to give out a number of the awards before the dinner is served, and it's a buffet-style dinner, but we'll get to that. But we'd like to have a few of the awards given out before we actually sit down and eat. So I truly am standing between you and dinner. Now, the way this is going to work, I'm going to introduce a number of folks who will be the introducers of the award winners. And one thing I'll ask is when you are done introducing the award winner, if you will please stay up here on the podium for a moment so that our photographer who's right here in front of us, can take a photo of you, the award winner, and me for purposes of posterity and the ultimate records of the law school and transcript and other good things. And so without any further ado, I want to go ahead and get us started because I am going to try to keep us on schedule. And I'll ask that all of our introducers and award winners please be brief so that we can get to our dinner. And we begin with the award that is the highest award given by the University of Missouri School of Law. This recognizes an alumni member who has accomplished tremendous service in the legal profession with their community and for the law school. And we have two award winners this year, and I'd like to introduce our first individual who will then introduce the award winner, and that's Bogdan Susan, class of 1992. Please come forward to introduce our first award winner, Chris Cox, from the class of 92.
Hello, everybody. I think the faculty chose me to go first because they're hoping that this early at night I might still be sober, so sorry. Well, first I want to say it's a real honor and pleasure to be here tonight to introduce my very, very good friend Chris Cox for the Citation of Merit Award. You know, Chris is an attorney in New York City in mergers and acquisitions, and his work and his excellence in this field has placed him at the very, very top of the world. And he definitely is deserving of this award. But, you know, that's enough nice things about Chris. Let me talk about him now. Chris and I first met in law school our first year. We became very, very good friends, probably because of the amazing similarities between the two of us. You know, I'm an immigrant from Bucharest, Romania. Chris is a farm boy from Chillicothe. I'm 6'9". Chris is not. Chris was a top student in his class, and I occasionally attended class. Now, I can just tell you that Chris worked so hard in law school. He was countless hours in the library, and I know that because I would come check on him on my way to Harpo's, and there he was working. But seriously, you know, Chris is a very motivated person. You know, he went to UMKC, got his MBA before he began law school. He knew he wanted a career in corporate law, and he knew what he wanted to do. Not only did he want to be an attorney in corporate law, but he wanted to achieve at the highest level. He could have stayed in Kansas City and had a successful career. He had a lot of friends and connections there, but Chris wanted to challenge himself. He knew there was one place that he could do it, that was New York City. That's the place where all the major mergers and acquisitions are done, where the stakes are the highest, and he wanted to be there. He knew also that there was only a few select law firms that he could work in that would do the type of work that he wanted, that had those types of clients. And Chris worked to get there. Many people state their intentions. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an actor. And, you know, very few people achieve those goals. Very few of us do what we set out to do. When I met Chris, I immediately knew that he was going to be successful, and I knew he was going to follow what he was going to do. He was not just a brilliant student, but a very hard worker with unparalleled focus. The only thing that could distract him, in fact, was his strange obsession with powdered donuts. Chris was a member of Law Review, and normally Law Review is an honor that gets you to choose whatever job you want, you know, a great job. But Chris was going to compete not just with Law Review students, but Law Review students from New York who went to Harvard, to Yale, to Virginia, to Columbia, all the top schools in the country. Not only was he competing with them, but he was competing with the fact that a lot of these students had parents or siblings or grandparents, even further on, who worked in that very same field to pave the way for him. Chris went in there on his own, and I think to this date, Chris is probably the only managing partner of a law firm in New York who can drive a tractor. It gives me immense pride, not just as his friend, but as an MU grad. Not only did he get his job, but he excelled. He made it at the very top. He worked countless hours in his office. I mean, he would call me after sleeping in there for days. And to just give you an example, he started out with 60 associates at his firm. One person made it to partnership track, and that's him. Those aren't really, really good odds, you know, and he did it by outworking everybody, by outthinking everybody. He admitted to practice in 1992, and it's in your bio, so I'll try to be brief on it, so I told him to be brief. Became a partner at Cale, Gordon, and Reindel, and then in 2012 he joined the firm Cadwalader. It's hard to say that word. Wickersham and Taft, by the way, he told me, is the oldest law firm in the U.S. And he became the chairman of its corporate department and also the firm's management committee. And I think those of you here understand what a big honor that is. He represents clients in a wide range of corporate and financial matters and has extensive experience in mergers and acquisitions. And just a few highlights of what he's done. He was selected by the American Lawyer as the 2014 Deal Maker of the Year for his work with the Irish drug maker Elan Corporation. In addition to that, he also received the 2014 Global M&A Deal of the Year for Europe and Ireland, and was the representation of Elan again. He's also received an M&A Atlas Top 50 Global M&A Award for distinction in deal making. Has been recognized by his work in mergers and acquisitions by buyouts by a leading lawyer by the International Financial Law Review and the Legal 500. In 2013, Chris was created Cadwaladers, it's so hard to say that, innovative SDX protocol, which was described by the New York Times as in Fortune magazine as a winning model for takeover and activist defense. His work with Salix Pharmaceuticals was called by the Wall Street Journal as a lesson in deal making from the Wall Street Journal. This is just a few things about Chris's accomplishments. We can go on, but we're supposed to have dinner here, so I'll be brief. Chris's success at the very highest level of our profession is a tribute to our law school and its faculty. He has proven that an MU law degree can take you anywhere. His success adds value to my degree and all of our degrees who went to Mizzou. He should prove to current students that hard work and dedication can take you anywhere in this field. However, you know, despite all these accomplishments, if you ask Chris what's most important to him, it's his faith, his family, and his friends. Something that he proves to me every time he picks up the phone, whether we go to our wedding, our children's baptism, or just laugh about a joke that we tell each other. It's with immense pride and love that I introduce Chris for this award.
Stand next to Dean Myers. It looks so short then. I'll just say that I am, it's a real honor to receive this, but I must say I'm extremely relieved, because until a moment ago, I didn't know whether Bogdan was going to introduce me or roast me. So I'm pleased that he didn't do that. I had a chance today to walk around the law school, and it's been a long time since I've been here, and it reminded me, it actually brought back a lot of great memories, but it reminded me of what a truly extraordinary education that I received at the University of Missouri Law School, and what the law school did, the intangibles that it provided, the lessons that it taught, the practical lessons that actually positioned me and all of my classmates to succeed. And I deal with a lot of young lawyers, both who work for me and on the other side of the table. And I've become, over the years, a fairly sophisticated consumer, if you will, of legal education. And I can say that the education that the law school provides is really extraordinary and very unique. So thank you.
Congratulations, Chris, and thank you for bringing the microphone back to a level I could use it at, too. So we have a second recipient of the Citation of Merit, and that's Cathy Dean from the class of 1982, and she will be introduced by Judge Nanette Laughrey from the class of 1975.
Bogdan was one of my students. He didn't follow the rules when he was in law school, nor here this evening. It's an honor for me to introduce Cathy Dean of the class of 1982. Cathy is one of those pioneering women who entered law school in the 1970s when women were few and far between in our profession. But unlike many of those in the first wave, Cathy took on the hardest challenge of all, becoming a litigator, the crown jewel of our profession, and the practice area most difficult to change. Fortunately, Cathy had good training. She was a 7th grade teacher. If you can survive middle school, you can do anything. Through charm, intelligence, and an unparalleled standard of excellence, as well as thick skin and a strong backbone, Cathy became a litigation partner at a major law firm, something not easily accomplished today, but virtually unheard of for women at that time. Being an overachiever, Cathy went on to chair the commercial litigation practice group, and finally to chair the whole litigation department at Pocinelli, a firm of 700 lawyers with 19 offices around the United States. Not bad for a country girl. Now, some lawyers striving for financial success forget the foundations of our profession, their reputations. But Cathy never forgot. Achieving success while being ethical and professional and quietly volunteering in her community to make things better for everybody. In both the Kansas City Metropolitan Bar and the Missouri Bar, she is known as a role model for what it means to be a quality lawyer. As demonstrated by her repeated election to the Board of Governors of the Missouri Bar, as well as being president of the Association of Women Lawyers in Kansas City. Among many other accolades, she is the well-deserved recipient of the Missouri Bar's Purcell Award, Professionalism, which recognizes the lawyer who has consistently demonstrated an exceptional degree of competency, integrity, and civility in both professional and civic activities. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, she is still at heart a teacher. She has taken under her wing innumerable young lawyers and unselfishly shared her time and talents and experience, ensuring a strong bar going forward. Hopefully those lawyers, as well as those few young lawyers in this room, will follow in her footsteps and do the same for future generations. I'd like to introduce my friend and role model, Cathy Dean. I spoke too soon about following the rules.
You said you followed the rules, but you wanted to leave. Thank you. I'll keep this. Well, first, thank you to the Law Foundation. I really appreciate this. It's a wonderful honor. I wish that my mother and my late husband were here to hear Nanette's introduction. My husband would have enjoyed it. My mother would have believed it.
So our next award is the Distinguished Recent Graduate Award. We have two recipients. This award recognizes alumni who've graduated in the last 10 years and who've already made their mark on the legal profession. And our first recipient is Jennifer Bukowsky from the class of 2006, and she'll be introduced by Nicole Volkert.
I'm very honored to introduce my best friend for this award. While at the law school here at Mizzou, Jennifer was highly distinguished, twice published in the Missouri Law Review. After law school, she clerked for Judge Mary Rhodes Russell at the Missouri Supreme Court. For her first job after clerking, she chose to work at the Missouri Public Defender's Office because she went to an event here at the law school, and she saw how passionate the people that worked for the public defender were about their jobs. And she said, I want to be passionate about my job. She made a great decision. She has since become a very successful and very admired criminal defense attorney here in Columbia. She has done dozens of criminal trials, jury trials, murder cases. She even recently got an acquittal on a week-long murder trial for an innocent client. She's been appointed as a special assistant prosecuting attorney. She has done pro bono cases. She has done habeas petitions for actual innocent clients. In fact, one of the great accomplishments she had recently was to secure the release of an actually innocent man named Anthony Williams. She spent years working on his case. He'd spent 20 years in prison. He was freed because of Jennifer. In 2013, she was awarded the Missouri Bar Pro Bono Award for her work on those cases. Her law firm has grown fast and rapidly, recently moving into a new office space to accommodate all the people that are working at her fast-growing team. She served on numerous committees with the Missouri Bar. She helped rewrite the Missouri Criminal Code, which was deemed to be outdated, and probably the last revision was written before she was born. So it's quite an accomplishment to help rewrite the criminal code. She has a weekly guest host on a local talk radio show where she fields questions from people on issues about constitutional law and individual rights and freedom. And she also has local public service, board of directors for United Way and the Chamber of Commerce. All of this would be an amazing accomplishment for any attorney at any stage in their career, and yet this is what Jennifer's accomplished in less than 9 years from graduating from the University of Missouri Law School. I just can't wait to see what she does in the future. I couldn't think of anyone more deserving to be a recent graduate award. Jennifer Bukowsky.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, the law school. I love Holston Hall. I love the smell of it. I think I was born to be a lawyer, and I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing, and I appreciate this award very much. It's a great honor. And I'm hungry too, so I'll shut up now. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our second recipient of the Distinguished Recent Alumni Award is Adam Vickery. And he is also a member of the class of 2006, which proves that my math was okay on that. And he'll be introduced by Bob Bailey.
Well, one, it's hard to follow Bogdan. I didn't realize we were going to have all those jokes. It's my real pleasure to introduce this person. So imagine that you're on a grade school playground. One boy attracts the attention of his classmates because of his energy, his enthusiasm, and his effervescent personality. Now fast forward to high school, and the same boy continues to be the center of attention. He is class president, honor society student, a gifted athlete. I'm not sure about that part, actually. He was an all-star, all-district soccer player 3 years running in St. Louis. A few years later, he's at St. Louis University and still at the top of his class academically, a leader in his fraternity and president of the Interfraternity Council. Upon graduation, he decides to work for IBM, putting his management information systems and finance undergraduate degree to good use. After 2 years, he is restless and moves to Homeland Security, training TSA screeners. So if you're happy going through St. Louis with the TSA, congratulate Adam. If not, let's move on. 2 years later, he arrives in Columbia driving his brand new Infiniti. A sore spot with his less affluent driving classmates to begin his law school career. As expected, he immediately befriends several classmates at the Food Bank Service Project. He invites several of them over to his house for a barbecue. They become bosom buddies, and he begins classes, and he attracts even more friends. He becomes the student body representative for 1L class, then the treasurer of the SBA, and finally, you guessed it, president of the Student Bar Association. The only hiccup in this string of success is he's not at the very top of his class. He's performing very well, but not quite well enough to get a first-year clerkship with Brian Cave. Undaunted, he continues to pursue a clerkship at Brian Cave, and his persistence pays off with a second-year clerkship, and they immediately realize that they have a rising star on their hands, and they offer him a position, and he begins, after law school, to work at Brian Cave. He's there for 4 years before being wooed by CenturyLink. As anticipated, he excels at CenturyLink, going from senior corporate counsel to director of commercial contracting to his present position as global account director in 4 short years. That's the background of this remarkable young man. But what do his colleagues say about him? Well, they uniformly remark about his intelligence, his sincere and dedicated involvement with his community, and his ease and his ability to genuinely connect with people. I had the pleasure of connecting with him his first year at law school. We became fast friends. He is one of the organizers of the Timothy J. Hines 5K race, and for that I'll ever be grateful. And by the way, as a promotion, I'll add, the race is tomorrow at 9 o'clock. He was also one of the organizers of the Tiger 2006 Scholarship. That the 3 of his classmates and himself, and they have a scholarship they're giving out each year to a worthy student. He is a dear and trusted friend and counsel. So what fun facts about this remarkable young man? Well, his classmates tell me that he has a bromance with the Duke basketball program. Very happy right now. But the best is that we used to play poker over at Adam's house, a group of faculty, and Ed Hunvald was one of them. And Ed had this game that he would explain to us every time we played, and none of us understood the rules. We'd play the game, Ed would say, "I win." We'd give him the money, and all of us would be dumbstruck with what just happened. Adam has really, truly been successful in a very short period of time on the corporate ladder, and it's my real pleasure and honor to introduce to you our recent distinguished grad, Adam Vickery.
it right side up? Yes. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. That was surprising. This really is an honor, and when Dean Myers called me about it and Dean Bailey told me about it, I was shocked. You know, for me, Mizzou is about the people, it's about the staff, it's about the professors, it's about the leadership there, it's about the alumni, and I couldn't be prouder to be a part of, you know, this school and its tradition. And you know, just thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Adam. And I have to say, as a Duke Law graduate of 1986, that your loyalty to Duke basketball played no role in the receipt of this award.
I know if Wilson had anything to do with it, I wouldn't.
Absolutely. You know that's true. He would have countered my vote on that. So our next award is a new recognition. Although many of our alumni, of course, succeed in the law practice in a variety of settings, a significant number of our alumni enter the business world. In fact, in the most recent couple years, it's been about 16% of our graduating classes that have gone into the business and corporate settings. And so we've established a new award, which is the Entrepreneurship Award. It is designed to be really a part of the new Center for Intellectual Property and Entrepreneurship, which the faculty unanimously approved establishment in 2014. And so we're very proud to have our first recipient for the Entrepreneurship Award, and it is well deserved. It will go to Mike Hamra from the class of 1994, who will be introduced by Bob Bailey.
So, tenacity, drive, determination have been defining characteristics in Mike Hamra's life, starting in high school, where he excelled in sports, especially football, in academics, and all the while he was doing this, he was working at his father's Wendy's. Michael brought these defining characteristics to college at Ohio Wesleyan, where he was a 3-year starting linebacker and a straight A student. On to law school, where I can honestly tell you Michael was one of the hardest working students that I've ever had. In 1993, Michael left Missouri for Washington, D.C. To begin his legal career, where he thought he was going to stay. He first worked for the Department of Commerce, then with the Federal Communications Commission, where he was in the wireless internet division, then with the Aiken Gump Law Firm, once again in the wireless division, and finally with Metricom, a company engaged in high-speed internet access. During these 7 years following law school, Michael excelled in each of these positions, and yet he longed for something more. And this led him back to his roots, the food service industry. In 2001, Mike returned to the family business as an overnight baker in Boston for one of the Panera's restaurants. He quickly became director of operations for that Panera's, and then for the Chicago Panera chain, and then he was named president and CEO of Hamra Enterprises. As president of Hamra Enterprises, Michael oversees 35 Wendy's restaurants, 53 Panera's restaurants, 10 Noodles and Companies, 2 hotels. They employ over 3,700 employees, and last year they had over $200 million in revenue. Michael describes his leadership style as being committed to listening to his employees and customers, to placing the customer and employee relationships as a #1 priority, and to creating a work environment where employees can grow, succeed, and be happy. Not an easy task, but one that Mike works at tirelessly. To accomplish the task, he tries to surround himself with competent, hardworking, and happy fellow employees. And for any of you who've been into the Wendy's or into the Panera's, it truly is. I've seen Michael with the employees, and it really is a hallmark of his management style. It is very fitting that our first Entrepreneurship Award should go to Mike Hamra, as he has taken a solid fast food business and elevated, modernized, and expanded the business into a fast food industry role model, and one that has become immensely successful. A few fun facts about Mike: he loves to paddleboard, to rock climb, and consume Frosties. And who doesn't, right? Are we having Frosties? He has the distinction of rappelling into a glacial crevasse in Alaska, just part of his spirit of adventure. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce our first ever Entrepreneurship Awardee, Mike Hamra.
Well, to start out with, my classmates and I have been for the last, since graduation, been making efforts to get together. And what I didn't realize is that one of us just needed to get an award and we would actually all show up. So thanks for showing up. It's good to have everybody together again. I just want to acknowledge, first off, Gary Myers for having the vision for creating the Center for Entrepreneurship, and as well as Michelle Cecil, who was here very briefly and then had to take off, as well as Bob Bailey. Without that vision and without the support of Michelle and Bob, I know that you wouldn't have gotten this put together. But I think it's absolutely fascinating that the law school has taken this on. It will provide practical experience that I would have loved to have had when I was in law school. I would have absolutely loved it. And they couldn't have picked a better director than Jim Neiman. Jim was in law school with us back then. Jim has also a great background, great experience in corporations as well as law. So I acknowledge you for the initiative and the vision to do this. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And I will point out that the law school, named after John Holston, John himself, not only being a lawyer, was also an entrepreneur, as many of you know. And I know if he were sitting here today and he saw this as something that was created, he would be thrilled to death about it. And I know that. So thank you very much for this. I truly appreciate it, and I acknowledge you again for what you've created. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We have one more award to present before having a chance to get a little bit of food. And that award is the Distinguished Non-Alumnus Award, which recognizes the outstanding legal accomplishments of an individual who overcame not graduating from the University of Missouri Law School. And I mean that mostly in jest, of course. Our award winner this year is the Honorable Zel Fischer from the Supreme Court of Missouri, who will be introduced by Chief Justice Mary Rhodes Russell, class of 1983.
I'm honored to introduce to you tonight the Honorable Zel Fischer, the winner of the Distinguished Non-Alumnus Award. Now, before you think I might have misspoke, let me explain. Because Judge Fischer is so frequently seen in the hallways and the classrooms here at Holston Hall, and because he attends so many school activities, the average person would think that he's one of us. Whether it's the 5K run, the trivia contest, the Women Law Association charity auction, Mizzou football games, tailgates, basketball games, you name it, he is a strong supporter of this law school and this university. And I would venture to say he probably attends more activities than anyone, than many of our alumni. And in addition, I bet he's the only judge in our state that wears Mizzou boots under his robe. But perhaps one of the reasons why Judge Fischer has been showing up so much is because of his daughter, Madison. You see, Madison was much smarter than her father. She decided to come to law school here. as opposed to that law school on the western side of the state. And I know that Judge Fischer and his wife Zel and all of the family tonight are very proud of Madison because she'll be graduating next month. And I'm very proud tonight too because she's being inducted into the Order of Barristers this evening also. But let me tell you just a little bit about Judge Fischer, excuse me, especially for some of those of you that might not know him. He comes from Northwest Missouri. He practiced law in a small town called Rockport, Missouri, and he's been wearing a robe now for about 8.5 years. 2 years as the Associate Circuit Judge in Atchison County, and now for the last 6.5 at the Supreme Court of Missouri. Excuse me. He's a wonderful colleague. He's hardworking, he's conscientious, and he's a lot of fun. And I think he's brilliant. That's because he concurs in more of my opinions than anybody else on the court. But I think the reason that we have such a great collegial relationship is because I've known Zel since we were young lawyers, just 2 years ago. We became, who laughed? We became instant friends because we both came from small town law practices. We both had been clerks in the Supreme Court of Missouri, and we just hit it off right from the beginning. Our commonalities continue to this day because we're the only people in the court that have pickups. Judge Fischer also supports the law school by having and accepting judicial interns here from Mizzou. Now, if we could only get him to hire our graduates, Dean, that's the next thing, right? But he's won all the top awards that an alumnus could ever win from his respective law school and from William Jewell College, where he attended as an undergrad. So I'm so glad that tonight he's receiving an honor from a law school or from a university he did not attend, but still strongly supports. So I congratulate you, Judge Fischer, and the law school for this award. He now can have a plaque on the wall that will match his boots. Congratulations on being a Tiger.
Thank you.
One of the best parts about having somebody from Hannibal introduce you is that they're schooled in the teachings of Mark Twain, who said that there's no death worse than being talked to death. And so I'm just going to thank you for this award. And I tried to talk to Judge Russell about what the qualifications would be, and she didn't know. And I went on Wikipedia, and they didn't have anything there. So, Dean, I don't know if you've looked recently, but I went ahead and filled it in. This is the award that they give to people that they regret that they waitlisted.
Point noted, Judge. Thank you. And I just want to add one more fact to what we've covered so far, and that's that Chief Justice Russell will be our commencement speaker this year, so we look forward to that. All right. Folks, I know some of you are still enjoying your meal or dessert, and I want you to please continue to do so. But in the interest of time and keeping us on track, I'd like to bring us back to order and proceed with some of the remaining awards, which are some very important aspects of Law Day. Our next award is the Judge L.F. Cottey Award. This award goes to an outstanding student whose area of focus is advocacy. It's named for Judge Cottey, who's a graduate of the law school class of 1931 and who served as a judge until his retirement in 1979. He was known as a lawyer's lawyer and a judge's judge. We have a number of alumni who I think fall into that category, by the way, but that's another matter. I want to thank Judge Cottey's family and friends for establishing this award, which recognizes a student who has excelled in written and oral advocacy. This year's recipient is Kayla Miney. She is a second-year law student from Warrenton, Missouri, and it's my pleasure to be able to introduce her. She's a graduate of the University of Central Missouri, where she received a bachelor's degree in political science. She became very involved in the Board of Advocates in her career. She also became a member of the arbitration team, which has had tremendous success in national competitions. And last summer, she was selected to be one of the Judge Crahan Fellows, where she worked in St. Louis with the Honorable Glenn Norton from the Eastern District of Missouri. So would you please join me in congratulating Kayla Miney, the recipient of the Judge Cottey Award.
I would just like to say I'm extremely honored to receive this award. I want to thank my family, especially my parents, who have supported me throughout my entire career and law school. I'd also like to thank all of Mizzou faculty and staff, especially Professor Brad Denoyer, who's not here tonight but still deserves recognition, as he was an outstanding professor for my legal research and writing courses last year, and I'm also serving as his teaching assistant. Choosing Mizzou Law was by far the best decision I've made in my career so far, and I can only hope to achieve some of the success tonight's award winners have achieved. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kayla. Our next set of awards go to 3 faculty members. And as you know, the faculty is a heart of any law school. And the 3 awards that we're about to give recognize the 3 main areas in which the faculty serve this institution. And those are teaching, research, and service. Our first award is the Husch Blackwell Award. This award, financed and sponsored by the law firm of Husch Blackwell. I want to thank members of that firm. I know Larry McMullen is here. I don't know if there's anyone else from Husch Blackwell, but thank you for your generous support of this award. And essentially it recognizes faculty members who've distinguished themselves in the area of teaching and preparing our students for the practice of law and for their future careers. The award winner is recommended by the editorial board of the Missouri Law Review, and this year's recipient is Professor Ben Trachtenberg. And I'll ask Professor Frank Bowman to come up for the introduction.
It's a great pleasure to introduce my distinguished colleague, Professor Ben Trachtenberg, as a worthy recipient of this award. A few words about Ben, but only a few. Those of you who know him know that he has a distinguished academic career. He went to a lot of fancy schools in the back east somewhere. Beginning with Yale University, he did a lot of great things at Yale, but the thing that I found most striking about Ben when I first got to know him is that while at Yale, he was actually a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity there, which kind of surprised me because I was unaware that they had fraternities at Yale. I knew they had these secret society things, you know, Skull and Bones and like that, but I was unaware that they had anything quite so plebeian as an actual fraternity. But apparently they do, including among them the Sigma Chi fraternity. And apparently Ben was quite a distinguished member of Sigma Chi. He received actually an award for being the most outstanding Sigma Chi senior in the whole country, which is pretty cool, I guess. And he, I mean, it's kind of a low bar, actually, probably. But Ben is remarkably loyal to the old fraternity. In fact, he is, as I understand it, the faculty advisor to the Sigma Chi chapter here at Mizzou. And from what I hear over there at the fraternity house, he's raised the tone considerably, bringing the whole Ivy League thing over there. He goes and gives little seminars over there about sort of how to be a better fraternity. And I believe they have topics like, how to tap a keg the Ivy League way, planning your toga party in the original Greek, and stuff like that. But at any rate, this is, I think, this is one example of Ben's commitment to students and to education, not only at the law school, but also at the undergraduate level, and I think it speaks extraordinarily well of him. After Yale, Ben went to the University of Limerick in Ireland, where he allegedly received some sort of degree. He got first-class honors, apparently, which is really cool, for a master's thesis, which I think was titled 12 Yiddish Variations on the Classic Poetic Form, with the first line, "There once was a man from Nantucket." In any event, after that he went to Columbia Law School, where he distinguished himself tremendously by winning a whole series of awards, including being the most proficient in contracts. I don't know, it's kind of an understatement, but at any rate, he did. But he also got some other really fancy awards. That he was a James Kent Scholar, a Harlan Fiske Stone Scholar. He was the articles editor of the Columbia Law Review, but most importantly, he was a comedy writer for the Columbia Law Review, REVUE, the student comedy show, which prepared him well for his life as a law professor. And indeed, I think his students would say that his teaching is distinguished not only by its erudition, but by its consistent wit. And I think all of his students would say that he is dedicated not only to amusing them, but to educating them, and also to spending tremendous amounts of time outside of the classroom to making the law school a better place and to make them better lawyers. And therefore, it's my distinct honor to present my friend Ben Trachtenberg.
One day he'll learn.
Makes it look like I'm winning the award. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Ben. And thank you for not offering comments, because I know you'd be an even tougher act to follow than Frank. So our next award recognizes scholarship. This award is funded by the Kansas City-based firm of Shook, Hardy and Bacon. I want to thank that firm for their support of scholarship, which is another critical feature of the role of a faculty member. And it is my distinct honor to introduce the recipient of this year's Shook, Hardy and Bacon Award, which goes to Professor Martha Dragich. The award is in recognition of the article she wrote, which is entitled, "Do You Know What's on Your Plate? The Importance of Regulating the Processes of Food Production." You notice we timed this so that it was after you had dinner. But I encourage you to read the article now that you've eaten, and I think it will be very informative. Professor Dragich joined the MU Law faculty in 1993. She served as Associate Dean for Information Resources until 2005, when she began full-time teaching. Her courses include conflicts of law, federal courts, food law and policy, and law and literature. In other words, all the fun courses in law school. I'm quite envious. She received an LLM in 2012, which, think about that, going back to law school. I'm very impressed by that. I think that's really great. And the LLM was in agricultural and food law from the University of Arkansas, which has an important focus on that area. And Professor Dragich has, in fact, focused her scholarship most recently in this area. And for that, she receives the Shook Hardy Award. Martha, please come up. So we've covered teaching, research. The third aspect of the role of a faculty member is service. And our service award is named for Loyd Roberts and is supported by the friends and family of Mr. Roberts. It is awarded annually to the faculty member who made the most significant contributions into improving the administration of justice in the state of Missouri, nationally or internationally. Please join me in welcoming Steve Hollis from the Columbia Boone County Department of Public Health and Human Services to introduce our award winner this year, Professor Phil Peters.
Thank you. I think I'm the only non-attorney presenting an award. You can tell that because I don't have a tie. Really, everybody's moved on from the tie. Everybody else. I also realized that I have an opportunity to address a room full of attorneys with an open mic, and most of America, I think, would kill for that opportunity. No, seriously, it's an honor for me to be here this evening presenting an award from my friend and colleague Phil Peters. I must admit I was a little surprised he asked me, as I know he has a lot more distinguished colleagues and friends, but then I realized that he must have gone down the list and I was the only one that said yes, I would come to a law school banquet on a Friday night. It's funny so far. I'm going to bum you out in just a minute, but then we'll get back to the fun. I first got to know Bob. I'm thinking about Bob. I'm going to talk about Bob Bailey. I first got to know Phil during a challenging time for a well-intentioned but ultimately doomed state initiative called the Community Partnership. Where's Bob? You know what I'm talking about. This was my first opportunity to observe Phil's incredible mediation skills. Phil stepped into a very contentious situation and provided a stabilizing voice of reason. And as I sat here tonight, I realized Bob actually preceded Phil on that board. So since then, I've worked with Phil on a number of issues and projects, most of which are rooted in addressing social inequality, especially in the area of racial justice. And speaking of social inequality, I'm a sociologist by training. I was curious to hear about Wendy's. This is such a lovely banquet tonight. Our sociology banquet actually is at Wendy's each year. When I was managing civil rights for the city, I learned that Phil had actually started out his career as a civil rights attorney. I soon discovered we share a common frustration, this is where it gets kind of serious for a minute, that the fingerprints of our nation's institutions are all over the crime scene of racism in America. The ugly evidence of which includes the fact that black households in Columbia still earn 60 cents on the dollar earned by white households, that the infant mortality rate for African Americans in our community is 3 times higher than that of whites, and that the high school dropout rate for black students in Columbia is still 3 times higher than that of their white peers. So what does one do about this when they're in a privileged seat in a higher institute of higher education? You can sit back and enjoy the privilege of being privileged, or you can do what Phil does, which is to get in and get your hands dirty and tackle these tough issues. Phil has spent countless hours tackling social justice issues in our community. In doing so, Phil has extended to the community his talents and training as an attorney in the areas of problem solving and dispute resolution, and as an academic, bringing to the table an appreciation, understanding, and a commitment to data and evidence. As I'm sure many of you know, Phil also has intrinsic qualities which allow him to be informed without being aloof, to be challenged without being confrontational, and to be right without being righteous. These skills and qualities have allowed Phil to facilitate civil discussions about and lead efforts to address some of the toughest issues in our community without getting mired in politics and rhetoric. A few of Phil's many contributions to social justice in our community include helping to save our federally qualified health center from the brink of bankruptcy, and in doing so, helping to ensure that our community's most vulnerable populations have access to quality health care. Phil has also been an early thought leader in the importance of quality early childhood education and served as the director of First Chance for Children, a local organization committed to ensuring every kid gets a great start in life. In recent years, much of Phil's work in the community has been addressing the achievement gap in our public schools, first as a member of the Achievement Gap Task Force, and more recently as a project director and now board member of our Cradle to Career Alliance. By extending his time and skills as an academic attorney into the community, Phil is the embodiment of what I believe was intended for our land-grant universities. But Phil isn't just a professor and a lawyer. He's a person who cares deeply about humanity and has spent his life and career seeking justice for all. For these reasons, I can't think of anyone more deserving of the Loyd E. Roberts Prize in the Administration of Justice Award than Phil Peters.
Congratulations, Phil, for that well-deserved honor. Our next order of business is the initiation of our new members of the Order of the Coif. The Order of the Coif is a national organization that recognizes outstanding academic performance. The University of Missouri is one of only 81 law schools in the country out of 202 ABA-accredited institutions that has a chapter of the Order of the Coif. It is, in my view, essentially the Phi Beta Kappa of law schools, and I'm proud to introduce Associate Dean Rigel Oliveri, who will present these awards.
Well, my first order of business is to call our meeting to order. So our meeting of the Order of the Coif is officially called to order, and I think the only order of business we have is to induct our new members. And I will read all the names out. I know not everyone is here, but I will go ahead and read their names. For the people who are here, obviously, please come up and receive your certificates. So the student initiates for the MU Law Chapter of Order of the Coif are selected by the faculty from the top 10% of the graduating class. And they are people who rank highest in scholarship and whose achievements as students make them worthy of initiation into this honor society. So without further ado, Scott Thomas Apking, who I believe is not here. Something really good just happened. Okay. Should we go down there? Maybe they're really excited about the Order of the Coif. All right. Peter William Bay. Please come forward. Oh, we're doing picture. Okay, sorry. All right. Okay. Brianna Hance. Sarah Elizabeth Haskins, who is not here. Elizabeth Diana Hadding. Okay. Rachel McLaughlin Hirschberg. Great. Here we go. Congratulations. Okay. Thomas Hotard, who is not here, Michael R. Owens. Shelley A. Rosenfelder. Brian Stair. Nicholas Theodore. Congratulations. Sarah Haskins. I'm not sure if she's here. She's not here. Okay. The other members who are being inducted who are not here, Jacob Thesson and Patricia Young. And with that, I believe that was our only order of business. I will adjourn our meeting of the Order of the Coif for 2015. Thank you all very much. And congratulations.
Thank you, Rigel. Next, we have the induction of new members of the Order of the Barristers. This organization recognizes advocacy on the part of students as well as alumni, and we'll begin with the initiation of our new student members. And I'd like to introduce Professor Chuck Henson, who will do the introduction.
Thank you, Dean. Good evening, all. I always enjoy this event in particular. The wonderful feeling of being, well, having stood on the shoulders of giants, not only in my job, but the giants that continue to support the law school and lead the state and provide their time and services to our community. And in that mold, I open this meeting of the Order of the Barristers. As many of you know, the Order of Barristers was established at the University of Texas in 1965 as an award for excellence in advocacy, both written and oral. It is one of the few things that Martindale-Hubbell recognizes as a distinction that they will print when they used to be in print. Now they're online. The minimum requirements for Order of the Barristers are participation and demonstrated excellence in written and oral advocacy. There's a list of 4 things that you need to do, and you only need to do 2 of them. Here at the University of Missouri, it goes much further. The Order of the Barristers is an order not only for those who have demonstrated their qualities as advocates, but their qualities as participants in our academic community and the professionalism that they have demonstrated over the course of their time at the law school. They are without doubt some of the most courageous students for having demonstrated their willingness to stand up, as lawyers should do, as the sword and shield of their clients, which is something that always humbles me to think of, because over the course of my time in law school between 1987 and 1990, I didn't have the courage to do that. So it is my honor to first introduce you to the class of 2015 initiates, who I will ask to stand and be recognized. You'll come back next year and get yours. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2015, Contessa A. Brundridge. And perhaps I should say, please hold your applause, and everyone remains standing. Nate Dunville. Austin Fax. Madison Fischer. Nicholas D. Jane. Elizabeth Kieswetter. Amber Lampe. Meg Sturkey. Antonio Stanfield Jr. and Kiana Wood. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize the class of 2015 Order of Barristers. And now the initiates of the class of 2014 Order of Barristers. Elizabeth Hadding. Jonathan Hummel.
I'm going into business, not litigation.
Melissa Johnson. Unfortunately, Larry Lambert expected to be with us this evening and couldn't make it. Arsenio Mims.
Yes, we will.
Kristen Sanaki. Scott Sargent. Wave to your daughters. Darion Walker. Good evening, Mr. Walker. Good evening. And Nick Zotos. Thus concluded the business of the Order of the Barristers, student initiates.
Thank you, Chuck, and congratulations to all of our initiates. In addition, each year, the law school is privileged to be able to induct an honorary member of the Order of the Barristers. This recognition is for an individual who's excelled as a practicing lawyer, as an advocate, as a litigator, and our winner this year is Michelle Mangrum from the class of 1986, a very good year, I might add. As a member of the class of 1986, I had to say that. And she'll be introduced by Bob Bailey.
So I'm going to be short and sweet for a whole variety of reasons. One is I know you're ready to go home. Two, Michelle didn't want me to say anything. And so I'm going to say a few words and then I'll let you go. But listening to Chuck, where are you, Chuck? About the sword and the shield made me think that's exactly why Michelle's getting this. So the essence of being a nurse is one who possesses special care and concern for others, or one serving in a nurturing role. So, why begin my introduction of our honorary barrister recipient with a reference to nursing? Because Michelle Mangrum began her career as a registered nurse and brings these traits of caring and nurturing into her life as a litigator. Michelle began her career in law with the firm of Shook, Hardy & Bacon. She quickly became a respected litigator in the field of pharmaceutical and medical devices. In 2000, when Shook decided to open its office in Washington, D.C., they asked Michelle if she would go to Washington, D.C. In talking with Michelle, she said this was a very difficult year when she arrived there, her first year there, because of 9/11, and we all remember the D.C. snipers. And it changed Washington, D.C. The casual atmosphere of Washington, D.C. was forever transformed by those two events. In 2002, Michelle became the managing partner of Shook, Hardy & Bacon's office in D.C., where she has grown the firm from 15 attorneys to 30 attorneys during her tenure. During the past 6 years, each of the past 6 years, Michelle has been named a Washington, D.C. super lawyer, and she was recently named the top defense lawyer in D.C. by the Washington Magazine. Since 2009, Michelle has been the lead litigator in the Yaz litigation involving 11,000 plaintiffs. As a consequence, she spends a lot of time in Brussels and in Amsterdam, and I keep telling her I want to go with her to those places. She really is a litigator of renown, the kinds of characteristics that Chuck mentioned for our students. Throughout her years of litigating and managing the DC firm, Michelle has still found time to nurture and mentor young associates, many of whom have been our grads. She's been great about when I call and say, I've got somebody who wants to come to DC, and she has hired them and been a terrific mentor. As good a litigator as Michelle is, though, I think her real strengths, from my perspective at least, are her caring for others and her boundless energy and drive. She has a nurse's eye for detail, a perfectionist's precision, and a brilliant mind. Her care and concern for others knows no bounds. Yes, she really is a superb and celebrated litigator, but she is so much more as a caring person. So a few quick fun facts. She employs a Honduran refugee, a woman who had to flee Honduras after her husband was killed. And Michelle employed her to take care of her 3 children, which are Rosie, Starry, and Marley, yes, 3 whippets. And she employed Noemi as a dog sitter. Now, the problem with that is that Noemi spoke no English and Michelle spoke no Spanish, so a little difficult to communicate. So Michelle learned Spanish so she could communicate with Noemi and taught Noemi English. That's the kind of person that Michelle is. Final fun fact, and one that I promise you're not going to be able to replicate. And that is that Michelle has served Laura and George Bush communion. She goes to St. John's, the Church of the President, across the street from the White House, and she is there every Sunday, has met how many presidents? Four presidents, but served George and Laura communion. So it's my distinct honor this evening to bring to the stage Michelle Mangrum, a celebrated litigator.
Since this is the end of the evening, I thought I'd employ one of the very important lessons I learned early in my career with regard to advocacy, and that is be concise. So I will do that and say that I am honored and humbled by this award, and certainly very grateful to the University of Missouri for giving me the strong foundation upon which to build my career. Thank you.
Congratulations, Michelle. We have one last, very brief order of business. And I want to make sure Rod's awake. The last order of business is a brief meeting of the Law Foundation Board, which will be presided over by the head of that board, Rod Loomer.
Just my luck to follow Michelle. In any event, we open the meeting of the annual meeting of the Law School Foundation. I am honored to serve as your president. I'd like to acknowledge the service of those who are here tonight of the foundation, Mary Michael Sturkey, Jack Campbell, and Brian Underwood. They do a great job on your behalf. At this time, we have the meeting is the election of officers or of individuals who are going to serve on the board. The first one is Joyce Capshaw. She will be new, and she would serve for 3 years. I will tell you that anybody in the room who has donated as much as $100 can vote. I've been told that if you don't have $100, that Judge Fischer will loan you the money. Sell his boots. In any event, at this particular time, I would nominate the following: Joyce Capshaw for 3 years, Glenn Glass for a renewal for 3 years, and Mike Williams for 3 years. Do I hear a motion? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? At this time, I would conclude the annual meeting of the Law School Foundation. Thank you.
Rod has demonstrated that he's an excellent president. He runs a good meeting, doesn't he? I'd like to do one last thing, and that is to have a big round of applause for all of our recipients today. And let's make sure the folks at the party over there can hear us. So how about it?